Welcome everyone to CAEOneWorld. In this conference session, I have the pleasure of welcoming three of CAE Defense and Security's top executives. Heidi Wood, who recently joined CAE as part of our CEO Marc Perrant's executive management team as Executive Vice President of Business Development and Growth Initiatives, and is now also the Interim Group President for our Defense and Security Business Unit. Welcome, Heidi. Rea Duquette, who is a longtime CAE executive and for the last 7 years has been the President and General Manager of CAE USA, where he has responsibility for the United States and South America markets. And Marc-Olivier Sabourin, another longtime CAE executive who is Vice President and General Manager of our Defense and Security Business Unit internationally, which as a truly global company means he oversees a significant portion of our defense business, including in key markets such as Canada, the United Kingdom, Germany, Australia, New Zealand, the Middle East, and elsewhere. So welcome everyone to this conference session at CAEOneWorld. Heidi, I'd like to start with you as someone who's new to CAE and recently joined from L3Harris. What were your perceptions of CAE from the outside looking in, and what brought you to CAE?
Thank you very much, Chris, for the question. So I have known about CAE for a very long time. I spent several years, 20 years, in fact, on Wall Street and analyzing companies, and I became aware of CAE, their fantastic reputation there. Frankly, when I was at one company a couple of companies ago, I talked to the CEO about trying to acquire CAE because they were so fantastic. So it's been a great company and a great stock. And when I got a chance to meet with Marc Perrant and understand the culture of this company and the way that they innovate and the way that they have a customer delight mentality, I became very excited about joining the company. And it's been a fantastic 2.5 months. And frankly, I'm exhilarated. Really, really love being here.
And what, as Executive Vice President of Business Development and Growth Initiatives, what are some of your initiatives there, in addition to now looking after the defense and security business?
Well, you know, I start from a framework of I'm a growth gal, right? So CAE is a great company with a lot of potential, and Marc brought me on board to raise the potential and the expectations all across the 3 business units of civil aviation, defense and security, and healthcare. So, you know, I also like to call myself the chief troublemaker, right? I join teams, join arms with the various BU presidents, and we start to think more disruptively and more creatively and more daring and push ourselves harder. You know, the great sign of a healthy company is green shoots, right? Just like what you see in out in the real world. And you look for, you know, green is good. And so we've got to take more advantage of the markets that we serve. And I think, again, we have tremendous potential with added energy and added focus. I think we're going to do a great job. So, and frankly, because there's a lot of fantastic ideas lurking within the company, one of the big things that I'm doing is just empowering the organization and a lot of the leaders to dare to say some things, and they can join with me because I'll share some of the risk right there with them, so that they feel like they have a partner to help them achieve higher aspirations.
Right. Marc-Olivier, I know it's been quite an interesting past few months. I don't know that you can have any discussion without talking about COVID-19. How's the pandemic impacted CAE's defense business, and do you anticipate any kind of long-term impacts?
Chris, it's been hard indeed. No surprise, but I guess on the defense side, all governments considered the military as essential service during the pandemic, and that actually extended to the type of services we provide, as it plays an important role in the preparedness and readiness of forces. As such, more than 90% of our sites operate at full or reduced capacity, and now we're back to 95% operation capacity already. So on the program side, we've had some delays in product deliveries and orders due to travel restrictions and base closures around the world, but we actually expect to see recovery of most of the delays on the program. In fact, our defense business has shown incredible resiliency through the pandemic, much less impacted than the civil business, of course. And it's actually unclear if how long will the COVID-19 impact last, but we're actually very confident that CAE will weather the storm and will continue to grow very quickly. And on the positive side, actually, the pandemic has created this sprue of creativity, where we've actually created new technologies and new support structure that would allow our operations during the limitations of travel or of social distancing. For example, we've deployed off-board instructor operating stations to our simulator that would allow training to continue while separating people in the cockpit. We've had virtual instructor-led classroom training at an FTC or emergency management training at an MPTC in Brunei. And as well, the fact that we are actually represented locally in most of the country where we operate, we've been able to leverage the local staff to provide installation service and continue our operations, continue product deliveries by leveraging our agility and our local staff everywhere, so we would minimize impact to our project delivery and actually increase our capability to continue servicing our customer during this crisis.
And Ray, you're sitting in the world's largest defense market in the United States. Do you anticipate defense spending might eventually be impacted by the various stimulus measures that that COVID has brought on for not just in the U.S. but around the world?
Well, before I answer that question, I like to echo what Marc-Olivier was talking about. And I've talked with a number of our top customers and leadership around the United States of how flexible they have been during this event, this pandemic event. And I can tell you they've allowed us to do testing. They've allowed us to do acceptance to where typically they come to our plant or they come to the site to actually do the testing with us. But they've allowed us to do the flexibility and be able to deliver the product to the warfighter that we need to do. So I've made a point to thank the United States government leadership for the flexibility that they've given us. And in a sense, they've been doing a little bit of stimulus themselves by keeping the defense industry active and being mission essential for them. To your point, yes, I do believe that we will see budgetary constraints in the future. Obviously, someone's got to pay the bills. But as I've always said in our market, and if you look at the macro budget, it doesn't impact the training and simulation market as you might think. We're mission essential. Readiness is number one, and it will continue to be number one. So when it comes to training products and training services, we don't believe it will impact our market as most would think at the macro sense. So as long as we're continuing to be mission essential, that they need the warfighters ready, then I believe that we'll see a very positive budgets for the future to come.
And obviously, synthetic training is a very cost-effective method for preparedness and readiness. So we would expect that to, continue to kind of increasingly leverage synthetic environments for not just training, but other mission support capabilities.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, simulation is much more cost-effective than live training. And if you think about it, there may be less deployments. There may be less live training ranges where the units get together. So they're going to count on doing things networked together in a synthetic environment, and that's going to be very cost-effective for them. And in addition, they're looking for remote training, and so we're developing and fielding courseware and curriculum that they can do from home or from remote bases to ensure that they get their training.
And Marc-Olivier, in terms of emerging technologies, what excites you about the future?
Actually, I think, Chris, we are actually at a turning point where technology will significantly influence the key technologies that support training and mission support. We are actually at the confluence of key technology, of three key technologies I'd like to talk to you about. Cloud computing, data analytics, and finally sensory immersions. So the combination of these trends actually will provide a full transformation of our environment, both for training and mission support. So if I talk about cloud computing, first of all, actually, interestingly, provides an absolute operational environment that provides robust reliability, cybersecurity, point of need access, and scalability. And a good example of where it can be used is to run a synthetic environment that would offer scalability, that would offer ability to do decision support, what if course of actions analysis, and faster than real-time simulation. Now, the second point, data analytics. Big data analytics and machine learning can be applied to training and do things like analyze pilot performance, guide self-paced training, and predict student outcomes. And finally, student immersion. The maturing of the helmet-mounted display, haptic interface, and augmented virtual reality means the price point and the portability of training and mission rehearsal can be made more broadly available to the warfighter, and CAE has many examples of using these technologies to the benefit of the warfighter. And one of the key technologies, CAE Tracks Academy, actually combines the key elements of these three technologies in providing the analytics, the artificial intelligence, and the virtual reality environment that will create a new training ecosystems that will help streamline pilot training.
So Duke, what's next for CAE beyond its traditional training and simulation focus?
Well, Marc-Olivier, he addressed many of those new technologies that we're implementing within CAE. What we're most excited about is what he talked about in data analytics, artificial intelligence, and we see that applying to more markets. You know, when I look at CAE, what's made us very successful by being the #1 training company in the world, specifically in aviation, we were able to apply our modeling and simulation technologies to be #1. We believe we can apply modeling and simulation technologies into better decision making, building a better world so the warfighters can have better situational awareness and make better decisions, as I mentioned. We're doing that right now with a single synthetic environment. We're working with SOCOM for a common operational picture development. We were just selected to be participants in that program. So we're excited about applying these technologies so that the warfighters can have obviously better solutions.
And Heidi, back to you. What do you think will enable our defense and security business to continue delivering for customers in the future? Like, what would you say to somebody, why CAE in this market?
Well, one of the first things that I would stress, Chris, is that the focus of this company, when you focus on being excellent at one thing, you tend to be a lot better at it. And we are, again, we've been talking about, the #1 training and simulation company in the world, not only in the civil market, but also in the defense market. And we have done such a fantastic job in terms of understanding how to translate the physical world into the synthetic. It is extremely hard to have the human mind accept that something is virtual and to actually use it for training. And we're the best at it. And so we're going to continue to push the envelope. And I think that especially as budgets get tighter, that's going to become training and modeling and simulation is going to get all the more important in terms of saving lives, in terms of being deterministic about what's likely to happen and how people are apt to respond, in terms of saving money. So I think in the next coming 5 to 10 years, modeling and sim only becomes more and more prominent. And we intend to take more than our lion's share of that market through a lot of creative methods, partnering, focusing on innovation internally. And again, the thing that I think is very distinctive about ourselves is we're very, very customer oriented. We listen to the customer, we take the knowledge back, we care about our scores and our evaluations and the ways that we can be better, and we take that into our further innovation. And so the fact that we're never satisfied, we never sit on our laurels, I think gives us ongoing upside. So the experience, 70 years of experience, a lot of companies, again, can tend to sit on their laurels. I don't see anything like that in the esprit de corps within CAE. So we're going to continue to push harder and higher and hopefully delight our customers even further.
Excellent. And Duke, everyone's always interested in kind of, looking at the crystal ball and what do we see as, opportunities in the United States market, in the coming years, and what kind of do you have your eye on?
Well, I think, Chris, you said it best earlier. It is the #1 defense market in the world, and a lot of the rest of the world is influenced by what the United States does in developing weapon systems and training systems. So what we see on the aviation side, a lot of new programs coming out. On the Navy side, we're very interested in pursuing and winning the TH-73. It's a new ground-based training system for undergraduate pilot training for helicopters in the United States Navy. We're already doing a lot of the training for the Navy in Sinatra, which is the Chief of Naval Training. And we're doing the T-44 program, which is very similar to what they want on the TH-73. And we're also doing all of Sinatra instruction, T-45, T-6, and as I mentioned, in the T-44 program. Also on the Navy, we see a number of upgrades still going on the MH-60 Sierra and Romeos, and of course, foreign military sales on those platforms. So we're excited to continue to support the Navy. On the Air Force side, major aircrew training systems. We've been the prime under the KC-135 ATS for now 10 years. It's up for recompete. So we're excited to be providing a new solution for the United States Air Force and do it for the next 10 years. And on the Army side, we're pursuing a number of programs, but I talked a lot about aviation. We do a lot on the ground vehicle side as well. We were the provider of all the hands-on trainers for maintenance on the Abrams, HIMARS, and Bradley vehicles. Well, there's a number of upgrades going on, so we're pursuing and executing. Recently, we were awarded the engine diagnostic trainer for the Abrams tank and are now delivering those devices to the U.S. Army. So a lot of exciting programs, both aviation and also on the land vehicle side. So a lot of work still to come, and we're excited to be executing it.
And Chris, if I can just ask a second, one of the things that Duke obviously spoke very eloquently about what we have in the near term, but if we do some future thinking and we contemplate that the threat environment is going to be multi-domain, the only way we're going to be able to do that is through modeling and simulation. So we intend to be a partner as all the armed forces struggle to solve this problem. We at CAE intend to be hand in hand with the customers, being able to envision that problem, work on that problem, and solve it together with them.
And Marc-Olivier, how about internationally? I know you cover a wide swath of the world. So what do you have your eye on around the globe?
There you go. As I'm somewhat jealous of Duke's market size as a single market. I certainly what I don't have in terms of single market size, I have in terms of diversity. So let me bring you around the world, and I'll bring you through the different cultures and different things that are happening in our world in a defense market around my region. So let me start in our home country of Canada, where we have actually a very rich pipeline of opportunities, starting with the Future Fighter Capability Project, which will select a new fighter plane and a new training system that comes with it. A planned acquisition of a remotely piloted air system, so a UAV system. The Cormoran midlife upgrade, which should be a program that happens soon this year. And finally, you won't be surprised that we are actively working on the Future Aircrew Training program, which will be the biggest training program in Canada. There's many other opportunities in the Canadian market as well. So we also serve the Navy, and we're involved in the Canadian Surface Combatant Ship program, where we are in the initial phases and are shaping up the training requirements for the next phase. Going from Canada to Europe, actually on Europe, we have multiple training programs, live training programs, such as what we are doing in Italy and Greece and many others, where actually European countries have signed an agreement to pursue together an opportunity called NATO Flight Training Europe, which again will bring a number of opportunities for CAE in that market. particularly in Germany, we are actually very proud to be part of the Boeing team on the heavy lift helicopter program, where the CH-53 will be replaced, hopefully by the CH-47, the winning team. And as Duke mentioned, the C-130J platform, CAE has quite a dominance on that platform, and we are looking at fielding a C-130J training system in Germany and actually in France to serve German and French Air Force, and CAE would certainly look to have a role in operating and providing training services on that platform. Now, going straight to the other side of the world in Australia and New Zealand, the RAF is now acquiring a C-27J training system, and in New Zealand is acquiring new platforms, P-8 and C-130J, and we're seeing actually very high-speed procurement going on for these platforms. So it's very positive. And let me bring you back to the Middle East and why last. COVID has had actually one of the most significant effects in the Middle East in terms of restrictions. So what we're saying is a slowdown of activities in the Middle East, but nonetheless an extremely rich pipeline of activities in the UAE and Saudi and Qatar and Kuwait as well. These countries have acquired a great military capability in the past couple of years, and now will need the training systems to actually support the operation and increase the readiness of their military.
If I may add, we talked about the two regions, but we do this in partnership, and it's a strength of CAE, how we work together to deliver the products, training system products around the world. But I would also say, we do it in partnership with a number of our industry. So we come together, provide the right winning strategy, and deliver the right solutions to our customers.
Thank you both. And Heidi, let's end with you. Any final comments for the various CAE stakeholders who might be watching this as part of our One World virtual conference and trade show? Any final comments you want to offer about CAE, the market, and where we're going?
Well, I believe very passionately that CAE is in the right place for where we're headed in the future, that the markets in which we've achieved strength is only going to be more and more relevant. We're excited to partner with our various customers around the world and take advantage of what we offer in the United States and Canada as a Five Eyes nation, what we can do in the Middle East and other countries with the threats are rising. I think we're very excited to go forward and partner with our various constituents.
Great. Well, Heidi, Rea, Marc-Olivier, I want to thank you for participating in this discussion. And thanks to everyone for joining us at the CAEOneWorld virtual conference and trade show. We hope you'll view the other conference and product presentations we have as part of this virtual event. And we certainly hope at some point in the future we can do this live and in person again at various aerospace and defense events around the world. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.